I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't think you want to know the answer to that question. I don't think you want to know my answer about JoJo. Don't say it. Oh, I've watched it. Why not? Let me see. I want the most cursed answer ever. Well, you see, I was never really that interested in JoJo, but I like Pompadour characters. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll try watching part 4. So I watched like 1/3 of part 4, and then I stopped watching it. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna watch 1/3 of part 4, I might as well watch from the beginning. So then I watched half of part 1, and I was like, this is just so fucking boring. And then I took like a 6-month break, and then I finished part 2. I mean, I finished the second half of part 1 because I heard. What is it? What song? I heard Bloody Stream, and I was like, damn, this song goes hard. But if I want to watch part 2, that means I have to finish part 1. So I watched the second half of part 1 6 months apart. And then I finally got to part 2 and I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, hell yeah. So I watched all of part 2, and then I was sad. And then I watched episode 1 of part 3, and then I was like, I'm too tired to watch more anime today, so I'm gonna stop. So I stopped watching part 3, and I never watched it again. And then when part 5 started airing, I started reading the manga for part 5 because I got kind of interested. But then I read almost to the very end of part 5, but then I stopped. And then I watched the beginning of part 5's anime, and then I stopped, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna watch part 5, I might as well finish part 4 so that I can see what's going on. Because when I was trying to get to the end of the manga of part 5, my friend was like, no, you can't read the end of part 5, it spoils part 3 and you haven't watched part 3. And I was like, whatever, fine, I'll just finish part 4 then. So I watched part 4 and I finished part 4, and then I watched part 5 up until the part where I read the manga, and then I didn't watch the end of part 5 or read the end of the manga because I hadn't watched part 3, and I still haven't watched it to this day. And this is my adventure with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yes.